Gasly crosses the line, goes second fastest. Told you to watch Pierre Gasly this evening. Kevin Magnussen's on a flyer at the moment. Fittipaldi.
Russell quickest through the middle sector of anybody. Bottas has got into the 53s. Russell doesn't quite make it. Couple of tenths behind.
So Bottas, Verstappen and Russell. Fittipaldi stays 20th. Charles Leclerc goes 6th fastest. Danny Kvyat now goes 7th fastest in the AlphaTauri, and Sebastian Vettel then just goes ahead of the Russian. Bottom 5 with a minute and a half to go do not include Antonio Giovinazzi, who's just put himself into Q2 at this moment, and Esteban Ocon goes 8th fastest. It's Fittipaldi, Latifi, Aitken, Raikkonen and this man, Lando Norris, in the bottom 5. Norris already on the back foot because he had a track time deleted, but he goes 4th fastest there. Now on board with Nicholas Latifi, still can't get out of the bottom 5. He's only done it once this season. He is though ahead of his teammate Jack Aitken. Have they got time to do a lap, cool off and then go for it again on those soft compound tyres? It's going to be a bit tight, you'd think. Alex Albon now the driver at risk. We're on board with Pietro Fittipaldi, who stays in that bottom 5.
And it is every bit as close, of course, as we expected. So you've got 7 tenths covered, the 15 that went through.
Here is Lance Stroll, and he crosses the line now to stay 5th fastest. Hadn't improved on his times. Carlos Sainz sets off on another flying lap. Giovinazzi only 13th. I think Lando Norris backs off and is going to start a flying lap. Esteban Ocon goes only 8th fastest. Checkered flag is out. That might not be enough because Danny Kvyat goes ahead of him now in 6th, and Max Verstappen goes fastest, puts Ocon very much at risk, and Verstappen sets the quickest time of a 53.6. Lando Norris could deny Esteban Ocon here as he's on his final flying lap of this particular session, and through the first sector at 18.8 for Lando Norris. Might need to improve by a couple of tenths throughout the rest of the lap. He's all right so far. Leclerc goes 6th fastest, pushes Ocon right out because the Ferrari's now into the top 10. Gasly might be the driver at risk. Pierre Gasly's not on the flyer. Lando Norris comes into the pits. It wasn't enough that particular lap, and he is out of qualifying.
Albon doesn't make it through. Norris then was on a bit better lap, but had to abandon as well. Leclerc did get one of the Ferraris through.
Interestingly, Bottas 10th down on both Verstappen and Leclerc through the first sector. He was 2 tenths up on George Russell.
I'd imagine Valtteri been keeping something in his pocket. Doesn't want to show George Russell everything until it matters, does he? And there it is, a 53.7 then.
Provisional pole for Valtteri Bottas by a couple of tenths if it's going to be Mercedes' night. But has Max Verstappen got enough on this lap to challenge for pole position? We'll find out as Gasly goes 3rd and Verstappen puts his Red Bull on provisional pole. Charles Leclerc joins him on the front row. That's a fabulous lap.
Where did that come from?
Leclerc. Who knows? Who cares? Leclerc on the front row as it stands at the moment by just 2/100ths of a second.
And I can confirm it was a lightly used set of tyres for both Mercedes. Does that explain things? Well, we're going to find out. There's both sets of new tyres on Russell and Bottas now.
What it does do, of course, it gives George Russell an extra lap to get familiar with Q3, and they would do that for Valtteri as well because they do keep it absolutely equal at Mercedes, so that makes sense.
Fastest first sector, fastest middle sector now for Valtteri Bottas, and at the moment Russell was a 10th down, is now another 10th down, so this could well be a front row lockout, temporarily at least.
He was on pole in 2017 in Bahrain, and Valtteri Bottas is on provisional pole at the moment. Here comes his teammate George Russell, and it is a Mercedes 1 and 2 on the front row as it stands 10th and a half between them. Bottas ahead of George Russell. Normal service has been resumed. DRS wide open, and he hasn't improved in the first sector. Valtteri Bottas as he heads towards turn 4. George Russell matches, I should say, Valtteri Bottas through that first sector. So still neck and neck with the 2 Mercedes, and Max Verstappen now matches the 2 Mercedes as well with another 18.6. Bottas not improving his times here. He's a 10th down as Sergio Perez puts in a personal best through the first sector, and it's a 10th ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Now George Russell has just gone a tenth faster than Valtteri Bottas through the middle sector. He is finding pace as Bottas crosses the line, aces the final sector, can't improve on his time though. Can George Russell get a pole position in Formula One? He misses out by such a slender margin, only 2/100ths of a second, and it's 5/100ths back to Max Verstappen, who has to settle for third. Daniel Ricciardo is only sixth fastest, as now Sergio Perez crosses the line and he stays fifth, but Pierre Gasly is on a personal best, and can he improve? He does, by 1 place ahead of Lance Stroll, who's yet to cross the line, and Stroll has never started higher than 14th in Bahrain, is 9th fastest in the Racing Point. Now we look to Daniel Kvyat to try and set his time as well. Kvyat goes 6th fastest right towards the end. That's a cracking performance from the young Russian. And now Carlos Sainz across the line, 8th fastest only for him. It's a Mercedes front row lockout. It's Bottas on pole, but I have to say, George Russell, take a bow. You might have been beaten, but you weren't beaten by much. The two Mercedes, it's a front row lockout in Bahrain for the 6th successive race at this circuit. Max Verstappen might feel that that's an opportunity gone a begging there for a 5th front row of the season.